Okay, here we are. Namaste, beautiful family of light. This is Reverend Sharon Elizabeth, also known as Baba Sharon, broadcasting live from the Cosmic Center Spiritual Light, which is located in Sarasota, Florida. We meet here every Monday, roughly around between 6:45 and 7 o'clock, before we do the transmission meditation, which we've been doing now going 19 years, every Monday without fail. So I guess that's, some people consider that like, wow, what makes that happen every Monday without fail? Well, when you're aware and you're connected to the higher celestial realms of light, what do you say? No. So anyway, it's what I would say, the divine design. If you're hearing this or you're participating in this, this is one of the pinpoints of light orchestrated by the Amishadai, the family of light, in the ascended realms of which we are part of, even as we are in these physical avatar bodies, these earth body suits, as I call them. But our consciousness and the truth of who we truly are is definitely in the higher realms. Our source, which in Kabbalah is known as the Adam Kadmon, which you could say is the divine human. And that is where the highest of aeons is our true identity. And I want to talk a moment about that, our true identity, because on so many levels, this is very important for you to be aware of. And as you walk your path of light, okay, as you walk your spiritual path, there's a point in that path where you come to a great awakening or a new level of awareness and consciousness. And there is something called a gnosis, where you just absolutely know. It is a direct knowing. Many of the Gnostic Gospels, which is now available after almost 2,000 years, this information has been buried. We have not had access to it, but now we do. And some of you may know we had the codexes that were found by what is known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, those have been interpreted and put into, in English and actually many other languages, the vernacular of where you're from. You can more than likely access that information. There are very different scholars that go ahead and have interpreted this. So, but pretty much it gives the story, the writing from the perspective of the early, what you would say Christians. They may not have the word Christians even then, but this is the earliest writings right after the death of Yeshua, Jesus Christ. And then, so that's the Dead Sea Scrolls. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, you have the Pistis Sophia, which is a very important Gnostic gospel to know, to kind of understand what happened. Is far more inclusive of different information than the very limited canonical Bible, Western Bible that we have, like the St. James Bible, much more expanded. Also, too, in the Nag Hammadi, what is known as the Nag Hammadi, those are the Gnostic Gospels. Those I do, well, I have studied the Christus Sophia and the Book of Jude and others, but the patriarchs and others, there's many other books, including the books that are in Ethiopia, the Ethiopian Orthodox books, that give a much more expanded version, as well as some different perspective of things. So I would recommend, we are now in these age of miracles, where there's not so much miracles to really understanding how things are working. And even in the scientific realm, they're coming into new, higher understandings of things, okay, which is just a rediscovering. I'm not going to say it's a brand new discovery, because there are many ancient civilizations like the Mayans and others that had a deep study as to how the universe worked. We are now in the age of Aquarius, as I've always said. This is our time now to do a deep dive into our own critical thinking through the knowledge that we can now access, of course, always using discernment, but along your own personal journey, you're going to get to a tipping point of where you are going to be in a new benchmark. Each benchmark is a foundation for the next benchmark of unfoldment of this consciousness unfoldment, where the question has always been, being that we are a species with amnesia. Okay, we're not sure where we come from, how things happen, how the things happen to be, why things are the way they are, etc. In your deep dive in your own personal journey, these things will be revealed. And I want to say it's a revelation that comes to you directly. Now you get insights, information, from perhaps other people or teachers or healers, and always remembering that we are each other's teachers and we are each other's healers. Okay, that student and teacher can flip at any time. We can learn from anybody, right? And insights, because no one person has it all. That is why community is important. That is why bringing a tribe together is important. Some people have a particular aspect or a particular area of expertise or a gift, okay, where somebody else has another one, but it all clicks together in this cosmic puzzle piece that we're all part of, that we can begin to unfold individually and collectively into the higher, broader understanding as to who we are and why we are here. One of the things I can most certainly say is why we are here at the moment. And if you're listening to these words or you're looking at this, is that you would be called a new term would be called a light worker. Another term is called a wanderer. There are other terms. The newest one is the chosen. There's a lot of different names, but it is a group of people that is in the minority in terms of the masses of people. We are the 1% of the 1%, and I would most certainly say the cosmic center of the 1%. Okay, and it is those that are walking their spiritual path and really going down the narrow path, as Jesus the Christ said, the path is narrow. It is that path less traveled. Okay, and then you have this, even as you have to go through this world of illusion, what is known in the Hindu script as Maya, what a new term is the matrix, okay, or the simulation, is that even as you go through there and walk your path to find out the answers that all and each soul seeks, what is the purpose? Let me understand what's going on in this world. Why am I here? And as you pursue that, the path will appear. It will absolutely appear. You have to keep on knocking, okay, and the door will open to your next level, until you get to a point of understanding things in a much broader scope. So one of the things that I did want to talk about is this idea of suffering, and I've looked back, old enough to look back the many decades of my life, and where everybody at some point in time seems to go through some level of suffering, or challenges might be another word, okay, where that individual is stressed. It's not something that's flowing, it's not something that's easy. It evokes a lot of emotional response to that, and what's that all about? What is that all about? But I would suggest to say, wherever you are in your life, if you have not experienced that, you will. Okay, everybody's like an initiation. Okay, every human is going to go through this path. There's some path, okay, where they are stressed or challenged in what it is that they have been doing. And that's sort of like a message from the universe. Okay, the message of the universe say, well, this is so unfair. Why am I suffering? Why am I challenged? Why am I depressed? Why am I scared? Why am I in fear? Okay, one of the things we got to do is embrace our fears, embrace them, because that is a design or a program that's a limitation. It's a limitation. Okay, and then once you embrace that, once you go through the process, always knowing, okay, that you are going to get to the other side of it. And even though sometimes they call it the dark night of the soul, the gnashing of the teeth, when you get to the other side, you are a different person. Okay, once you can transcend that pain or that idea of fear, okay, or not knowing, okay, when you get to the other side of it, okay, when you get to having a larger perspective, you can look back as you get older in your life to see why things happened the way they did, especially for those who've come here for a mission and a purpose, especially for those who said, I'm here because I choose to be here because of the higher heart of compassion, unconditional love to help and assist in the ascension of this planet. What's going to happen? The universe is going to say, okay, you promised to do this, and we're going to help you because we know that when you come in, your memory is wiped. Okay. And you may have some imprint as to who you truly are, but it will be challenged by the world of Maya, by the matrix, by the simulation, because there are going to be those distortions and distractions and agenda that wants you to pull away from your spiritual mission and your purpose, because it's not just happening on this level, it's happening on many other levels of which we're a part. Indeed, some may call it a spiritual war. So there's other layers that are going on. But I will say this, each and every one of you, okay, play such an intricate, important role. Why? Because as you begin to remember who you truly are. Now, this is key. You want to remember who you truly are. You really want to do this and know this with every fiber of your being before you go over on the other side. Okay, of course, your consciousness and who you are is eternal. Okay, that's your true identity. Your true identity is not the physical body, which is temporary, and the physical world, which is temporary. We already know that. What is eternal? It is a divine spark. It is us who are the Adam Kadmon, who hold the similitude, who hold the divine spark. It is that spark, that soul, that's us. We are part of the divine mind, the one, the source of all that is. Now, knowing that, okay, you can step out of the stimulation, you can step out of the matrix, you can step out of Maya, okay, because when you go and leave the physical body, you may say, okay, I choose to reincarnate again. And there are those that have make a conscious decision. Okay. And that is fine, either in a mission or to learn something. But there are also those who can ready to move on to the next level. And for some reason they are stopped like a glass ceiling. They can't go beyond. And that's where the program and the manipulation comes in. Okay. How do you get out of that? You get out of that by knowing who you truly are. And that is not your personality, not your ego, not your body. Okay. Not the food that you eat. Okay. None of that. Okay. That is like I'm playing this, it's like a little avatar part of it, but that's not who I am. I am something way higher, way more, okay, from the highest of aeons. That's the truth of who I am. It's really important for you to remember that, but more than even remembering that is to know that. Say, oh, I get it. I understand fully. I am in this world, but I am not of it. That's really important to remember. This is not your source. You're here and you play a role, absolutely. Okay, but that's not the truth of who you really are. And I would suspect that there are those out there that want to distort that, that not have that put in that confusion. Okay, but and there's agendas to move things into the technology of where we're going to need be a cyborg, for example. Okay, where we have the internal, right now, we have all that we need for the ascension within ourselves. So all I want to say to everybody, keep on knocking on the door. It will be revealed. This is the time. We're getting a lot of light codes from the sun, from behind the sun, from behind the sun, coming in now. So there is this great awakening. Light workers at the forefront of this. You are not crazy. You are the world is crazy. That's what's crazy. You're fine. The world is crazy. You be your authentic self. You walk your path of light. You remember who you are, why you're here, because of your capacity to hold unconditional love. That's why you're here. You're a high being, and you've come here for a mission and a purpose. Keep on walking your path. Namaste to our beautiful family of light on Facebook Live.